What's up everyone, it's Cody with Money Vesting. So welcome on board for another Market Open live stream here. We've got the QQQ slightly down close to 1%. We already knew that because we had a live stream last night going over to the futures market and we were significantly down after the weekend. And right now we're kind of continuing on that momentum. The SPY here is also down a little bit over 83 basis points in the Dow Jones, also selling off over 75 basis points. So welcome on board. Just give me a thumbs up if the audio and the video is coming through well. Just want to make sure that there's no technical difficulties. Oil is on the move as well. So we're back over $94 a barrel. We're getting a little bit of a bounce here from 91.90 bucks a barrel, which we identified as a support earlier. So we're getting a bit of a bounce here from those levels. And volatility, VIX is back over 27, which we also expected the VIX might open above 27. And right now it's up over 6%, so volatility is back in the market. So we are seeing some momentum to the downside, of course, for the markets come in as well. And Bitcoin just broke down below 20,000 after a long time. We're starting to see a breakdown below $20,000. Right now we're getting bought up. We came down to as low as 19,500, and right now we're seeing push higher back up to 19,900. And of course, Ethereum also 1,400, 1,500. It's just been hovering around those levels. We got a little bit of a breakdown below 1,550, and right now just trading over 1,475. So QQQs, this is going to be the chart of the day, which we'll talk about and I'll explain it in a minute. So, all right, perfect. So everything is working well. Aaron, thank you so much for joining in. Michael is asking, why are you dressed up today? So really not dressed up. It's just a collared t-shirt. So not really anything crazy, but yeah. So again, thank you so much for joining everybody. Make sure that you also drop a like and we'll talk about this chart and how to kind of go about it intraday, what I'm really looking for in the markets, because there are going to be some gaps now left for the QQQs, and we are expected to open in a very strong range of support. There is going to be some demand inside that green rectangle, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. But let's just quickly break down everything that is on the day that is important. So Best Buy reporting earnings later this week. So on Tuesday before the market opens, along with Baidu and Big Lots. And then of course the companies that I'm interested in, CrowdStrike is going to be reporting after the bell. ChargePoint, Chewy, and HP are also scheduled to report. And I will do videos on CrowdStrike and ChargePoint either later today or early tomorrow prior to the earnings or after earnings. I'll definitely do both of those videos sometime this week, going over the fundamentals and kind of going over their intrinsic value and whatnot. So those are two companies that I will analyze very, very soon. And then of course later this week we've got Okta, we've got C3AI, we got SentinelOne, and then Broadcom and Lululemon. Lululemon is another stock that I'm really paying attention to see how it reports their earnings. It's just a valuation issue for me when it comes to Lululemon. September is coming up, so we've got a long weekend coming up. So Labor Day is going to be on September 5th. So once this week is over, we're going to have a longer weekend. And then September is going to be in focus. And September, historically, going back about 100 years, it's never been a great month. So, on average, the S&P 500 have declined in the month of September. So we just got to brace for that as well. And not only that, we've got a lot of economic reports. We've got the Fed scheduled for September 21st, along with the summary of economic projections. We've got the CPI numbers coming out on September 13th. And this Friday, which is going to be the first September of the month, we've got the employment numbers. So that's going to be the unemployment rate, currently sitting at 3.5%. We're going to get those in September 13th, the CPI, and then around that time we'll get the PPI numbers as well. So lots of things coming up in this month. Again, this is going to be the economic calendar. Lael Bernard speaks later today at 2:15 p.m. Eastern. So she usually is not super dovish or optimistic when it comes to the markets anyway. So we just got to prepare for that as well, and how that last couple hours into the close are going to be for the markets. And then we've got some housing reports, so Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Joel's numbers are going to be coming out as well, so how many job openings with respect to how many people are employed, both of those. So it's going to be pretty much a big jobs week, employment week this week. And then, of course, jobless claims, manufacturing index, and employment situation that comes out on the first Friday of the month, September 2nd. So here's what the next for stocks after Powell's Jackson Hole speech. The market is about to enter the seasonally weak month of September with the Federal Reserve amping up inflation fight rhetoric. And still, let's wait for two events, the economic data and the conferences. And Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says he is expecting a softening of labor conditions, and there will be ample opportunity to see how soft the jobs market is when the August jobs report comes out on Friday. Expected 325,000, so that's going to be that number. Expected on Wall Street consensus Dow Jones estimate, and that's going to be down from 528,000 in July. And we'll have to wait a little longer for another read on inflation. And Powell said lower inflation readings recently were welcome, but are far short of what the committee will need to see before we are confident inflation is moving down. So kind of reiterating their hawkish tone. And again, the CPI comes out on September 13th. And unfortunately, the modest progress the US appears to be making on inflation is not being echoed in Europe. And Eurozone inflation is out Wednesday, and it's expected to hit a new high of 9% year over year. And it's been going nowhere but up since January 21. And as everyone knows, gas prices are also going up nowhere but up. And winter is also coming up, so gas prices could come under a lot of pressure once again and could potentially start to move up, thereby affecting overall inflation not only in Europe, but of course in the United States as well. The only good news, Germany is making real progress on increasing its natural gas supplies, and European Central Bank officials are also talking about 75 basis point hikes after delivering a 50 basis point hike back in July, their first rate hike in 11 years. The big issue for stock watchers will be earnings, still positive for the year, but coming down. So this is a specific issue that I talked about in one of my other videos, which was called earnings recession. We also talked about this during our previous live streams, where if you exclude for energy companies, earnings in fact went down. It's only the energy sector that's kind of holding up the overall earnings for the S&P 500. So for second quarter, we in fact saw a decline if you exclude energy. And for this year, we're expected for a very modest 9% growth, including energy, and excluding energy, a very modest 3% growth on a year-over-year basis. So if earnings start to decline with or without energy, that's going to be a little bit of a signal for the markets as well, as the demand in general, the consumer spend is also slowing down and weakening. So that's going to be that. And going over to some upgrades and downgrades, we got JP Morgan reiterating Apple as overweight, Deutsche Bank reiterates Tesla as a buy, Morgan Stanley reiterates Exxon as overweight. Piper Sandler names Illumina as a top pick, and Bard reiterates Amazon as outperform. Morgan Stanley reiterating Bed Bath & Beyond as underweight. CrowdStrike gets an overweight rating from Morgan Stanley, and then Telsey reiterates Costco as outperform. And finally, Wells Fargo reiterates Bank of America as a top pick, and Argus upgrades AstraZeneca to buy from hold. There are a couple videos that I wanted to play. I shared this in our Discord as well that I think are very interesting on the Friday's sell-off, and of course the perspective on what Jerome Powell said and overall perspective on inflation and the sentiment in the markets. So we can listen in on those. One of them is going to be from NYU's Stern School of Business. So Professor Aswad Damodaran, we've also talked about him and referred to him in several of our videos in the past. So I'm going to play this. Let me know if the audio is working well, right? So just give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure the audio is not like super loud or anything. Just want to make sure that it's going off well. So I'm going to play that now, and I'm going to shut up.
Great to check in with you here in terms of the market kind of repricing on the fly here in terms of equities. It's been part of the story all year. Valuations getting compressed in equities in reaction to what's happening with monetary policy and growth expectations. Just big picture, how does it look to you? Does the market seem to be roughly in tune